Hi friends, this is your pal Scott Garibay, and today we're going to talk about um, Ecclesicon 2025 tabletop role-playing game, small tabletop role-playing convention in Palmyra, New Jersey in March of 2025, and the best convention game I've ever played in, by far, not even close. So it was scheduled for 10 a.m. on Saturday, March 29th, and it was from 10 to noon, okay? It went from 10 to 12:35, so it went over 35 minutes. And it was the TSR Marvel game. Okay. So first of all, I was like, TSR Marvel, I don't know why you're not using Marvel Multiverse RPG by Matt Forbeck. That would be better. But I was like, I like Marvel, no problem, right? And so I knew it would use that old chart from the old TSR game. And a lot of these conventions, you just get a lot of old heads who really like running the old stuff, right? Now, that's not my jam, but I'm like, hey, I was given this this badge for free, and I'm like, I'm going to make the best I can and try to engage with the people who are here. And this thing was a banger. I could not believe how good it was. Now, I will say this. It wasn't good because it was run with TSR Marvel. I think you could have run the same thing with Marvel Multiverse RPG, and it would have been just as good or better. But this guy, he used the old stuff, and it was incredible. It was literally the best convention game I have ever played in, bar none. All right, so I come into the room, right, and it's him and a friend, right, and they're just dropping terrain onto the table. So this was two, like, like you go to, well, you don't go to church, but like you go to it was like a 6 by 3 foot table, like a long table. You would see them at like a yard sale, right? These fold up tables that you bring out, you set it up. It was two of those, right? So this was like 6 feet by, it was like 6 feet by, I guess it was 12 feet at that point, right? It was two 6 by 3 tables next to each other, okay? So I guess that is 12 feet, but yeah. But they weren't long wise. It was like two 6 by 3 tables put into as close as you can get to a rectangle, right? And so it was a huge space. And then they filled that entire thing with buildings. And I'm not even talking small buildings, like big terrain. And basically think of HO scale for, it was 20, so the HeroClix, they used the HeroClix miniatures, right? And so HeroClix is pretty much exactly a 28 millimeter miniature, and then all the buildings were scaled to that, and it was all modern buildings. They had a Carvana building, they had like a bank, they had all these incredible buildings, and I think a good bit of it was sourced from like railroad collections, right? But it was all perfectly to scale for regular D&D size miniatures, which they used HeroClix, but that's exactly the same size. HeroClix are made at 28 millimeter, exactly D&D size miniatures, right? Exactly 40K miniatures, same thing, right? So they did this incredible terrain. This guy had packed his entire car filled with all these buildings and filled with all his miniatures, and it was astonishing. The level of effort. This clearly was an incredible HeroClix miniature collection combined with an incredible terrain collection and an incredible amount of effort to get it to the convention, an incredible amount of effort just to get it set up, an incredible amount of effort to get it torn down. There was just so much time and love and care invested in this, and it was really fantastic. So right out of the gate, you're like, this guy's really trying, right? So you're giving him your goodwill right out of the gate. The name of the Dungeon Master is Paul Coyle, and he was fantastic. He's one of the best Dungeon Masters I've ever seen. So he had this amazing collection of HeroClix miniatures. He had this amazing collection of terrain. But then what really made it rock was we got in, and essentially the storyline was the Captain America, Scarlet Witch, and there's one more in there, and Hawkeye have all been captured. They've all been abducted, and they're missing. Right, so you guys are going to, investigate the location where they were last seen. Right, so it's in New York City, and the Sentinels break out, and the terrain is think about 4 New York City blocks, but it's all literally the actual terrain, like buildings like half-built buildings, fully built buildings, a Carvana building, like buildings that are 2 stories tall, buildings that are 10 stories tall. It was incredible. I've never seen anything like it, right? And then we went there to investigate, and when we investigate there, these Sentinels bust out. Now, it's like Sentinels who are 15 feet tall. Actually, it's Sentinels that are like regular human size, right? Like 10 feet tall. And I played Wolverine, and the other heroes were Hulk, Wolverine, Spider-Man, Colossus. And by the way, Dave Simpson played in this game, so Dave Simpson has his own channels, Gamers on Games, and so he was in the game as well, and he played Colossus very well, and I played Wolverine, and then there was also Hulk was there as well. So good spread, and the heroes that weren't picked. Oh, and Cyclops was there. Cyclops was there as well. And then the heroes that weren't picked were actually Giant Man. Hank Pym was not picked, which was interesting, right? So all this is going down, but the part that was really phenomenal, that just absolutely blew me away, was the way that the Dungeon Master ran this. So this would have taken hours and hours and hours, right? But he's like, listen, you're going to use your percentile dice, and you're going to make your rolls, right? And then you're going to add your fighting, and I'm going to use the chart, and I'm going to tell you whether you hit or not, right? And then when you hit, I'm just going to tell you hit them, and you physically impacted them, and I'll describe their wound, but we're not going to worry about damage, right? And the guy knew the chart. He actually was using the chart. He would look at your roll, and you would say, oh, I rolled it was 0, 1 to 100. And you'd be like, I rolled a 47. And he might say, what's your fighting? And so my fighting was 40. And then he would look at the chart, and and it would be either green, yellow, red, right? And he's like, if it was green, he's like, you hit, you're good, right? And then he'd be like, so Wolverine, hits the Sentinel and tears off its left arm, right? But you wouldn't be told the damage, right? And then he would be like, well, it tears off the left arm, but the thing is still up, right? And he would just lay the miniatures down if they were destroyed, right? So it was very clear, and he would lay it down, and then he would pull it off so it was really clear all the time exactly how there was a good idea. You had a very good idea who was damaged, what Sentinels had been completely destroyed. And what really blew me away was just how, Iron Man was in the air, doing reconnaissance, and Spider-Man was swinging around, and and Wolverine's doing the best snick, but the stuff moved all over the board, and the minute, it was incredible. It was really, really incredible, right? But this was not easy to achieve, right? Because there was a ton of effort expended on this. So it really was incredible. And then what I think was really amazing was the Dungeon Master really kept things moving extremely quickly. He was like, next guy, it's my turn. Next guy. And this seems so obvious, and it seems like this should be the case. And I just can't believe how many convention Dungeon Masters just waste people's time with searching rooms that are empty, hit this bag of hit points, hit him again, oh, he's down, here's another monster, same as the last monster, But this was incredible. It moved extremely fast. It was extremely visual, and I have to say, you could take the same setup, right, and we would have covered a third or a quarter as much action. It was really how quickly this Dungeon Master moved, like a very constant tempo of you attack, you attack, you attack, you attack, you attack, you next attack, next guy, next PC attack, next PC attack, next PC attack. It was just this viciously fast pace, right? And also, but at the same time, giving descriptions with what was being, hit and what was being struck, giving everybody a moment to shine, but also managing people at the table. Like, you got 6, 7, Dungeons and Dragons guys, and we had a guy there who's like needs to tell that story about, when they had a game 10 years ago and something funny happened, and he was good about not being rude, but also cutting that story off and saying, Tom, it's your turn. It's your turn. We'll return to your story, and then we never return to it. Right? Like, it's just keeping the pace going, right? Like, it was pretty wild. He did a really fantastic job, and it was a fun, cohesive story from start to finish. And we found that the Master Mold was responsible for all of it. We got to fight a Phoenix Sentinel. We got to fight 10-foot Sentinels, and we got to fight 50-foot Sentinels. Sentinels of different sizes, different powers, different abilities. It was really phenomenal. Fun, cohesive, start-to-end story with an actual narrative, because the Dungeon Master was absolutely ruthless on keeping a fast pace, getting everybody back to the action, and keeping your attention. And also, I have to say this, he did not use the rules. He used the shape of the rules, but not the literal rules. And that's the issue, is he like filed off every mechanic and every rule, right, that would have slowed the game down. He's like, we're eyeballing this. And so it wasn't that he was just doing whatever he wanted. It was that he was getting as close as he could, as quickly as he could. And there was like a perfect example of this. There was this one guy, he's like, oh, hey, these are roadie scores and not Iron Man scores. And I need you to get roadie scores. So, hey, let's stop the game and I'll pull up a PDF and then we'll have Iron Man's. And he's like, listen, roadie scores are close enough to Iron Man. I'm not going to make you play roadie, but the difference, it's going to take 20 minutes of the game for you to find that stupid file. He didn't say stupid. And we're just going to use roadie's numbers for Iron Man. And this dude, man, he was like, I don't know, you can't use roadie scores for Iron Man. And he's like, hey, it's Tom's turn. We're going to keep moving. Keep thinking if you want to, use roadie, and I can come back to you and we can get right back in the action. But if you want to do that PDF thing, maybe I just catch you in the next game, not in this session. Right? It was just so perfect and so elegant and so respectful. It was nice. It was really nice. I've never seen, honestly, I have to say, I can count on one hand the Dungeon Masters in this world who are better than me. I think this guy was one of them. Paul Coyle is amazing. He's running the same thing at Philadelphia Area Gaming Expo in January 2026. Be there. This guy is phenomenal. It was really, really impressive. Definitely the best convention game I've ever seen. And I will say this, it slammed the door on quality for Ecclesicon, right? I would have paid 100% ticket price to play in this 2-hour game alone, period, even though it was 2 hours and 40 minutes. Every single word you just heard is my humble opinion. The important part is when I get to hear your humble opinion. When you get in the comments and send your traffic, please consider subscribing and have a fetch millennium.